Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Kramer with MRC-TV. Today we're speaking with Ian Pryor, the Executive Director of Fight for Schools, to discuss the ongoing situation in Loudoun County and what parents can do to fight back against their own public school systems across the country. Ian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So you're behind a petition to remove Loudoun County School Board Chair Brenda Sheridan from office, as well as other members. She appears in interviews pretty confident that she will not be removed before the end of her term. Can you give us an update on that? Is there a court date set?
Well, we filed last Tuesday, and it's my understanding that an order to show cause has issued. I'm not really sure on the date of when that hearing will be, but it's certainly progressing. And, as for confidence, of course she's going to project confidence. I mean, that's what people do when, they're dealing with these kind of things. But we're also confident because, let's roll it back to May when we first drafted the petitions for 6 school board members that were part of this private Facebook group that was plotting against parents. Our legal rationale was a violation of open meetings law and violation of their own code of conduct. Now we've seen all the things that have happened since May. Putting a teacher on administrative leave for exercising his First Amendment right, getting their clock cleaned in court twice, and now settling with him and giving him $20,000 in attorney's fees, shutting down public comment, violating people's First Amendment rights as speakers and listeners. And of course, we had the sexual assault in May. We had the second sexual assault in October, and in between there, we had the superintendent lie about it at a school board meeting. No one on the school board corrected him, and nobody did anything to keep this individual out of another school. So what we did was 13 days before the election, we drafted new petitions for the chairwoman and the vice chairwoman, and we included all of that information in there, and we completed those petitions in 13 days. So this, if it gets through, the initial process in court is going to be something that we are going to take action on and hopefully get a positive result.
Okay, so you're hoping to get her removed from office and other members as well.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, a member of the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, you have so many enemies, Julie Briskman called concerned parents against the school board alt-right, which is often associated with white nationalism. I wanted to ask you, Ian, are you alt-right? And then I also wanted to ask you, why do you think that they resort to these kinds of attacks?
Well, first of all, yes, not alt-right. I had to actually look it up to really understand the finer points of the definition. So thanks for that, Julie. But what I think it shows is, one, a complete ignorance of what we're trying to do and of the thousands of people that have signed these petitions. I mean, we have 25,000 signatures. Our movement and our cause transcends political ideology, race, ethnicity, gender, religion. And so by doing that, she has essentially insulted her own constituents. It also shows that she's learned absolutely nothing from what has happened over the past several months. I mean, this whole thing started with a private Facebook group, which she was in, where they were going after parents and accusing parents that weren't sufficiently woke as being racist or fascist or sexist. I don't know that the governor's race goes the way it did if that Facebook group didn't exist. So the fact that she's doubling down on these very same things that really led to this parents' revolution in Virginia and is spreading elsewhere shows just really how ignorant she is of the political realities.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm so shocked by the disdain towards parents for people who work in the school system. Both my parents worked in school systems as a football coach and a school bus driver and had to deal with parents so often. It's just really stunning to me how much they hate them for being concerned about what their kids are being associated with in the school.
Yeah, and, look, my mom was a school teacher as well, and I get it, right? I mean, you don't want parents telling you every day how to do your job, right? And that's not what we're asking for. We are asking for the ability to work with our elected officials in a comprehensive and collaborative way to set the course for the future of our school system, not to micromanage it, but to have an understanding and to work with them to make sure that our kids, have an opportunity to develop the skills that they need to succeed in life, to be mentally tough. So they're not getting offended and upset by every, quote, microaggression that's out there. Look, the world is a tough place, and you need to have these skills and the thick skin to be able to get through it. And what we're seeing from Loudoun County is they want to paint everybody as either the oppressor or the victim, and that's no way to teach kids on how to live their lives.
Yeah, it seems like instead of teaching there's a lot of political agendas being shoved down the throats of these kids. Recently, some emails came out showing Loudoun County Superintendent Scott Ziegler emailing members of the school board about the sexual assault that took place on May 28th, which means that the school board knew about the incident the entire time prior to the story breaking. Can you run us through the timeline of how that came out?
Exactly. So really what happened is on May 28th, this sexual assault occurred at Broad Run Stonebridge High School. And there was actually an email that was sent out by the school saying that there was an incident involving a parent in the school office, in the administration office. And we all saw that at the time and wondered, what's going on there? And I think some of the leftist activists out here were talking about how it's probably one of those angry parents from school board meetings. And, that was kind of the end of it. And so then you get to June 22nd. Actually, let me back it up. After that happened, Superintendent Ziegler sent to the entire school board at least general details of the incident, that a sexual assault had occurred in a bathroom at Stonebridge High School. June 22nd, Scott Ziegler is asked, is there a record, are there continuous sexual assaults in bathrooms? And he didn't answer the question. He volunteered an answer to a question that was not asked. He said, I am not aware of any records of sexual assaults in bathrooms in Loudoun County Public Schools.
To my knowledge, we don't have any records of assaults occurring in our restrooms. We've heard it several times tonight from our public speakers, but the predator transgender student or person simply, it does not exist.
That was a lie. Nobody on the school board corrected him. Now, they didn't have to put out details. They didn't have to put out, the kids' names or the specific allegations, but they could have said, that's incorrect. Would you like to correct the record? They did nothing after that. They allowed the kid to transfer to a different school. Now, at the August 10th school board meeting, which is very interesting, at that meeting, which is where they actually passed Policy 8040, which was the transgender bathroom policy. The cameras now at this point are on the school board members. They've been turned around from the parents because, God forbid, a parent gets a viral moment. And the mother of the victim from Stonebridge signed up to speak. Now, she didn't show up, but the chairwoman called out her name. After that happened, Superintendent Ziegler writes a note, walks it over to the chairwoman. On the other side, you have school board member Ian Sorokin look around nervously, pick up his cell phone, send a text, and look over to Sheridan and Ziegler. That right there, it sounds very Zapruder film-like, but it sort of gives credence to the fact that they knew what was going on. Now, on October 6th, that's when the press release from the sheriff's office came out saying that they, were investigating a sexual assault at Broad Run High School, and it turned out that it was the same individual. So what we have here, apparently, is that the Loudoun County School Board, or at least some members of the school board, and the superintendent gave deliberate misinformation at that June 22nd meeting. And the reason why they did that is because they knew if that had gotten out before they had an opportunity to pass 8040, 8040 never would have passed.
Yes. Well, I spoke with one of the few conservative members of the school board, John Beatty, who said that not much information was given to them in great detail and that there's really nothing that could have been done by them to prevent this or even stop the second assault from occurring. What do you think? Does his response satisfy you?
No, look, I know Mr. Beatty. I think he's an honorable man, but I think they all dropped the ball on this and they all bear responsibility because the fact of the matter is they got that information in an email. There were school board members that followed up. The superintendent did not provide them information, but at some point they would have known what was going on. They would have known that Scott Smith, the individual that was arrested at the June 22nd meeting, was the parent from that first sexual assault. They would have known that he was being prosecuted for that, and they should have known that there are options they could move this kid in a different fashion. Look, if your child is exposed to coronavirus, they have to stay home for at least 5 days, and there are virtual learning options. If your kid gets coronavirus, there are virtual learning options. They want to keep them out of school because of the possibility that they could transmit it to another child. So you mean to tell me that a child who may have coronavirus is more dangerous than somebody who was arrested for sexual assault and is going to be undergoing a trial for that? So, spare me there's nothing we could have done. The kid was arrested on July 8th. they could have immediately started their Title IX investigation and done what needed to be done to make sure that every student was safe.
Well, and also it shows you that I think they were more concerned with passing 80-40 and having biological males have access to female spaces. And so do you think that their political agenda was ultimately the greater priority than protecting the students?
I think it absolutely was, and I think that's what's so reprehensible and what parents had been talking about for months, which is that this school board has been putting politics over their job. Yeah. They're supposed to be nonpartisan school board members. They're supposed to be running schools at the, not the direction, but parents essentially send their kids to school. They pay for those schools. They expect excellence in education, and they expect their kids to be safe. What they don't expect is for political agendas to be woven throughout the fabric of the school system and for the priorities of the school system to be on those political agendas and not education and safety.
Yeah. Should all members be removed and held accountable, and if so, why?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that there is a statute in the Virginia Code that talks about if a majority of the school board is vacant, then the circuit court will step in and appoint the school board members. So, what I think a solution would be, with the exception of Andrew Hoyler, who was recently appointed to fill the spot of the late Leslie King, the rest of the school board should just resign, allow the circuit court to appoint individuals that can serve out until November of 2022, when there will be a general election. Those temporary school board members should not run for re-election, but they should focus on the next year or however many months cleaning up the mess that is Loudoun County Public Schools. And then when we get to November 2022, we can have 8 school board seats up for election, and then let the people decide the direction of the schools now that they've basically pulled back the curtain and seen everything that's going on.
So Jessica Smith, the mother of the victim in this story, says in a press release that they're going to move forward with their Title IX lawsuit against the school board. Do you think that the school board or the administration, which one bears more responsibility in this matter?
Well, we can't really know at this point. I mean, we haven't seen the communications between the school board members and the superintendent beyond what we've seen. Certainly, they may have had conversations that did not make it into email. Those are all things that would, ultimately come out in a deposition or in interrogatories. So it's really difficult to tell exactly who knew what, when they knew it, and what they did about it. What's clear is that they didn't do much about it. They didn't do much of an investigation, if anything at all, and they put the kid back in school, where we now know he pled no contest to that second sexual assault. So, I think that lawsuits are the way that, we're going to find out this information. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, a second lawsuit coming, because the individual that was the victim of the second sexual assault, I mean, hey, listen, that is a gross neglect of duty on the part of the school board and the superintendent.
Absolutely. Lastly, what's next for your organization?
Well, that's a great question. We have 3 more petitions that are ready to file. So we'll be making decisions on what to do there. The Leesburg seat that Beth Bart's vacated, there's going to be an appointment there in December. So we're going to really want to make sure that we go out there and advocate for the right applicants and against the wrong applicants. But then moving into 2022, when we have special elections, and then 2023, when all the school board seats are up, we're going to really ramp up and make sure that, the parents, grandparents, taxpayers of Loudoun County have more information about their candidates. I mean, look, it's great to get a flyer in the mail saying that this school board member or this school board candidate wants more recess, but ultimately that's not what is happening in these school boards. And so we need to make sure that we shine a light on the candidates, that we promote the good candidates, that we shine a light on the candidates that aren't so great, and allow the people to make the decision based on the most information possible.
Hopefully a lot of the parents of your organization step up and run, because I would love to see that.
Yeah, well, we do have a couple that have been helpful with us, that are stepping up in both of these vacant seats, and I would expect that once we get into elections, you're going to see a lot more people interested in running.
Awesome to hear. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I know you're a super busy man, so we appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.